Another, for example, major issue when you want to transplant stem cells is the possibility of functionally integrate transplanted cells into damaged organs, because while for some type of cells, simple like implantation of the cells into the organs is enough to make them recreate the organ you want. For other cell types, you need a certain niche, what is called. So a certain give specific cues to stem cells or to differentiated cells to allow them to actually recreate the organ properly with the proper structure and with the proper network of vessels. And also, when it's not possible to transplant the patient's own cells to cure a disease, then of course we have to consider the consequences of immunosuppression. To overcome these challenges, that are mainly at the moment technical challenges mostly, we probably need very, very stringent of quality control, procedure of differentiation, and to actually overcome the challenges dealing with implant or transplant of differentiated cells, I think the development of in vitro tissue engineering is needed to derive, for example, the correct organ structure and to maintain, for example, long-term function following transplantation. These, of course, will require, and at the moment a lot of effort is focused towards these problems, because this will require a collaboration between bioengineers, tissue engineers, and stem cell biologists or vascular biologists, for example. Because at the moment, for example, in Berkeley, but also in many others, for example, startups or biotech companies, a lot of attention is focused on development of artificial substrates where stem cells can be propagated properly, large scale, and then can be differentiated correctly to then be transplanted into patients. So at the moment, probably I would say these are the main technical challenges. From the theoretical point of view, I think although the field is, the stem cell research field is a very new field, but because of the let's say interest that it has, and because of the power that it could have in clinical applications, there hasn't been, or recently the focus has shifted from basic research to applied translational medicine. This, of course, is understandable because it's very tempting to focus mostly on the applied research and the advantages could be gained by using stem cells in therapy. But it is also true that there are a lot of basic things in division or in stem cell metabolism that we still don't know. And if we want to use therapy, we need, I think, a more thorough characterization of their basic properties before shifting completely to translational medicine and clinical applications. So I think on one hand, we really need to keep focusing on basic research to understand how the cells divide and how the cells are maintained, how their transcription or protein expression works, because it is clear that, for example, from their cell cycle is clearly different from the one of differentiated cells, so they have properties that are definitely different from differentiated cells, and we need to know them very well before we can try and use the cells for clinical therapies. I think another most theoretical issue comes from the ethical issue regarding, of course, the moral status of the embryo from which we are deriving stem cells, tissue ownership, the informed consent of patients when they are donating cells for stem cell research, and also their safety and the protection of their personal data, and also the possibility of having access to treatments. Thing that I think needs what is very, very difficult to address is the giving exact and punctual information on stem cell research from the media. So sometimes it is very well known that a lot of discoveries in stem cell research, but not only, get amplified by the media, and they end up being looking like the miracle drug that can cure everything. So I think we need very, very thorough and exact information that gets from the lab to the media to be sure that in the end, we don't raise false expectations. So in my personal opinion, expecting that we make organs and we transplant for organs from stem cells in the next 5 years is unreasonable. But if you read, for example, some reports, not of course in scientific magazines, but in newspapers or more general magazines, that is the current approach. I mean, the current idea on the field that sometimes stem cells can be the miracle drug that cures everything. So I think these might be the main theoretical challenges that we face at the moment. And I would say that probably one of the ways to overcome this challenge is to focus more on basic research and maybe take a step back from translational medicine, although, of course, applied research needs to be carried on in parallel, but still, let's not be too hasty, let's say.